It was just past 11:30 p.m. when the rain started to fall, thin sheets cascading down like the sky itself was sighing. Emergency room nurse Jenna Morales tightened her grip on the steering wheel as her old Honda Civic sliced through the wet roads just outside Kingston, New York. Her shift had ended late, and she was still mentally replaying the trauma of an 8-year-old boy rushed in from a hit and run. Her knuckles were pale from tension. She didn't want to drive fast, but she had to. The girl in her passenger seat, Mia, couldn't stop shaking. Jenna had picked her up from a party that got way out of hand. Something about too many drinks and some guy pulling a knife when another girl refused him. Mia wasn't drunk, but she was clearly rattled. There was a tear in her jeans and dried blood on her elbow, though she insisted it was from falling on the pavement and not from anything worse. "You sure you're okay?" Jenna asked again, shooting a quick glance her way. Mia nodded without looking up. "Yeah, just get me home." Jenna didn't press her. The look in the girl's eyes was enough. Wide, haunted. There was more to the story, but now wasn't the time. Jenna eased the accelerator up as she merged off the main road onto Route 9W, heading south. The road was slick, and her wipers could barely keep up with the rhythm of the rain, but there wasn't much traffic. The highway was usually quiet this late. Up ahead, the unmistakable red and blue strobe of a police cruiser cut through the night. Jenna cursed under her breath. She glanced at the speedometer, 65 in a 45 zone. "Crap," she muttered, slowing down too late. The lights behind her flared on, and the siren chirped once. Jenna pulled over, heart thudding, and rolled down her window. Mia didn't move. She pulled her hood over her head and leaned into the shadows of the seat. The officer approached slowly, flashlight cutting through the raindrops that clung to the window. He wore his hat low, uniform collar up, and his walk was off, a little sluggish. Jenna noticed it right away, how he moved like someone underwater. Still, she kept her hands on the steering wheel and waited. The flashlight beam hit her eyes. License and registration. She reached slowly into her bag, speaking calmly. "Officer, I'm a nurse, just got off an overnight. I'm sorry for speeding. I was trying to get her home." She nodded toward Mia. "License," the officer said again. His voice was gruff, slurred around the edges. Something was off. She handed over her license and registration. The officer studied them, but didn't say much. He leaned closer, his breath fogging the glass. Jenna caught the sour scent of whiskey through the rain. Her stomach turned. "Stay in the car," he muttered, then turned back toward his cruiser. Mia suddenly looked up. Her face had gone completely pale. "Wait, did you see his badge name?" Jenna frowned. "No, why?" But Mia wasn't answering. Her eyes were locked on the rearview mirror, where the officer now stood beside his squad car, hands on his hips, swaying slightly. Even through the mirror, his posture looked unstable. Something wasn't right. Jenna narrowed her eyes. "What is it, Mia?" The girl's voice was barely a whisper. "That's my dad." "What?" Jenna turned to face her, completely stunned. "I swear to God that's him. Officer Kenton. He wasn't supposed to be on duty tonight." Jenna's heart skipped. "Are you sure?" "Yes," Mia hissed. "What the hell is he doing out here?" Jenna's mind was racing. Officer Kenton. That name sounded familiar. She'd seen it on Mia's emergency contact info when she started mentoring her at the hospital. Mia was only 16, in a youth volunteer program for teens interested in nursing. Jenna had taken her under her wing, especially after learning her mom passed away 3 years earlier. But Mia never talked much about her dad, only that they didn't get along, and he worked nights as a patrol cop. Now the man was standing behind their vehicle, reeking of alcohol, barely holding himself upright. "What the hell do we do?" Mia whispered. Jenna looked in the rearview mirror. The officer was stumbling back toward them. She lowered her voice. "Listen to me. If anything happens, stay in the car. Let me do the talking." The officer returned, his steps louder, heavier. He tapped the flashlight against the side of the car. Rain smeared across the glass. "You said you're a nurse?" he asked, blinking down at Jenna. "Yes, Kingston General. I'm heading home now." "Who's the girl?" "She's a volunteer at the hospital. I picked her up from a party. She wasn't feeling safe." Mia looked straight ahead, frozen. "Name?" Jenna hesitated. Mia gave her a tiny shake of the head. "She's underage. I'd prefer not to say anything without her guardian." The officer stared at Jenna for a long, uncomfortable beat. Then in a blur, he moved the flashlight toward the window on the passenger side. Jenna's stomach dropped. Mia turned her head, and the light fell across her face. The man's entire body went rigid. The flashlight lowered slightly. His jaw clenched. "Mia." The name came out like a question, though he already knew. The man blinked hard, stepping back as if trying to make sense of what he was seeing. His own daughter, in the passenger seat of a car he just pulled over, with dried blood on her arm, wearing makeup that had streaked from tears and rain. "What the hell is going on?" His voice cracked as the reality set in. Neither Mia nor Jenna said a word. He staggered a step back. The rain poured harder now, soaking through his uniform, but he didn't seem to notice. His eyes were fixed on Mia like she was some ghost from a different life. "Mia, what are you doing here?" Mia didn't answer. Her lips were pressed into a tight line. Then slowly Jenna watched as Officer Kenton's hand slipped down to his hip, brushing the handle of his service weapon. Jenna's voice rose. "Don't touch that." A car zoomed past, tires hissing on wet asphalt. He froze. "Before we continue, let us know in the comments where you are watching from today, and what time you are currently watching this video. If you enjoy stories like this, make sure to like, share and subscribe for more." The silence between the three of them was louder than the rain pounding on the roof of the car. Officer Kenton stood like a statue, his hand hovering near his sidearm, eyes locked on his daughter. His breathing had become shallow, fast, like someone sprinting without moving an inch. Jenna didn't dare blink. Her heart thudded painfully against her ribs. "Officer," she said, keeping her voice steady, "you're not okay right now. Step away from the car." But he didn't move. His eyes flicked from Mia to Jenna, back to Mia. He opened his mouth like he was about to speak, then closed it again. His hand finally dropped away from his belt. He took a step backward, stumbling slightly on the wet asphalt. "I need you to explain," he slurred, pointing at Mia. "Why is she out this late? Why are you with her?" Jenna took a deep breath. "Like I said, there was a party. I went to pick her up. She texted me. I wasn't going to let her walk home like that. She's 16. She shouldn't have been at a party," he barked. Mia flinched. Her voice was sharp but quiet. "Maybe you would have known that if you were home once in a while instead of getting drunk in your cruiser." He flinched like she'd slapped him. The rain came harder now, a deafening roar against the car. Headlights passed by slowly, a white SUV driving cautiously through the storm. Jenna hoped someone noticed the scene. Kenton ran a hand over his face. He looked soaked, miserable, and suddenly much older than his 45 years. His eyes were glassy, red. His shirt clung to his chest, and the badge on his left breastplate glinted under the street lamp. "You're lying," he muttered to himself. "You're lying to make me look bad." "I'm not lying," Mia shot back. "You said you were off tonight." "I was off." "Then why are you in uniform? Why are you driving around drunk with your gun on your hip?" That shut him up. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. A car passed behind them again. Jenna didn't turn to look. He finally spoke. "You got no right to question me like that. I put food on the table. I've protected this town for 20 years. You haven't protected anything. Mia cut in, her voice cracking now. Mom's dead. You think drinking yourself to sleep is protection? Jenna reached over, resting her hand on Mia's arm. Not now. But Kenton wasn't listening anymore. His knees buckled slightly, and he grabbed the edge of Jenna's car for support. His chest was rising and falling quickly. A vein bulged on the side of his neck. You don't talk to me like that. I'm your father, he spat. Eyes unfocused, Jenna reached into her center console without making it obvious. Her fingers brushed against her phone. She tilted it just enough to glance at the screen. No signal. Of course, the storm had knocked out reception on this stretch before. Sir, she said slowly, I'm going to ask you again to step away from the car. You're impaired. You shouldn't be driving, much less pulling anyone over. You don't get to say that to me, Kenton snapped. I'm still a cop, still your superior. You're not my anything, Jenna replied firmly. You're drunk and you're making a dangerous situation worse. Suddenly Kenton turned around and stormed back to his cruiser. The sloshing of his boots in the puddles echoed down the road. Jenna grabbed the keys out of the ignition and whispered, Mia, unlock your door on my signal and run. What? I'm serious. If he reaches for his weapon or starts coming at us fast, run straight into the woods. I'll deal with him. But Kenton didn't come back right away. He sat in his cruiser for a full minute, maybe two. The rain on Jenna's windshield made it hard to see, but she could make out the shape of him fumbling with something in the front seat. Then she saw it. The driver's side door flung open. He stumbled out again, this time without his hat, and with something in his hand. Not a gun, a bottle. It sloshed as he walked, even more unsteady now. He leaned on Jenna's hood as he approached, then rapped on her window with his knuckles. You think I don't know what's going on, he said, voice thick, drunk and uneven. You think I don't see what this is. You fee. She jabbed a finger toward Jenna. You think you're her mother now. Jenna stared at him. No, but someone has to keep her safe. He stared at her blankly. You think I'm the bad guy. You're the one drinking on duty and threatening people in the middle of the night. He looked like he wanted to scream. Instead, he raised the bottle and drank. Ia muttered. He used to be different. He's dangerous now, Jenna whispered. More headlights approached, this time from behind them. A second cruiser. Its lights weren't flashing, just moving slowly. But the moment Kenton turned around, it stopped sharply. Jenna sat up straighter. Thank God. Kenton noticed it too. He turned, blinking hard. The bottle slipped from his hand and shattered on the pavement. Out of the second cruiser stepped a younger officer, mid-30s, tall, built like a linebacker. His name tag read Vaughn. He stepped forward cautiously, taking in the scene. Everything okay here? He asked. Kenton straightened up quickly. Just handling a traffic stop. No big deal. Vaughn looked at Jenna. Ma'am, she rolled her window down. He pulled me over for speeding. I'm a nurse. This is my passenger. She's a minor. He's drunk, has a weapon. He tried to question us and got aggressive. Vaughn's eyes widened slightly. He looked back at Kenton. You've been drinking? Kenton's jaw tensed. It's none of your damn business, rookie. It is now. Vaughn stepped closer, putting himself between Kenton and the car. Turn around, sir. I need you to hand me your firearm. Kenton stepped back. You serious? I am. For everyone's safety. You're in no condition to carry it. Kenton laughed, dry, bitter. I trained you. You think you can lecture me on safety? You're making this worse. Don't do something you'll regret. Kenton's hand hovered at his side again. Don't, Vaughn warned. Nia was trembling again. Jenna could hear her breaths quicken. Kenton didn't move. Rain continued to drum on the soaked pavement as the standoff thickened like fog. Officer Vaughn's left hand hovered near his radio, while his right remained free, open and deliberate. His calm tone was in direct contrast to the tension hanging in the air like a coiled spring. "Don't do anything stupid," Vaughn said, stepping slowly toward Kenton. "There are 100 ways this can go wrong. Only one way it goes right." Kenton didn't speak. His mouth twitched, eyes jumping from Vaughn to the patrol car behind him, then back to the women in the sedan. Jenna leaned forward slightly, shielding Mia instinctively. Vaughn kept his voice low and steady. "You need to hand over your weapon. I'll walk you through it, slow and easy." Kenton's body swayed like he was caught between fight and flight. Finally, with shaking fingers, he reached for his holster, not to draw but to unclip it. The gun slid out, handle first. He held it in the air for a second, then offered it to Vaughn. The young officer took it quickly, locked it, and stepped back. "That's good," Vaughn said, exhaling. "That's the right move." Kenton dropped his hands to his sides, and for a second he just stood there, blinking in the rain. His breath steamed in the night air. Vaughn kept his eyes on him, posture rigid. "I'm gonna have you sit in the back of my cruiser while we talk," Vaughn added. "You're not under arrest yet, but we need to sort this out." Kenton didn't argue. He trudged past Vaughn and into the second car, dripping rainwater onto the seat as he slid in. The door shut with a loud thunk, locking from the outside. The moment he was secure, Vaughn turned to Jenna. "Ma'am, are you okay?" he asked, approaching her window. Jenna nodded slowly, shaken, but yes. "Mia's his daughter. I didn't even know until he walked up to the car." Vaughn blinked. "Wait, she's his kid?" "Yes." Vaughn looked back at the cruiser where Kenton sat, head leaning against the glass, like someone who'd aged 20 years in the last few minutes. "This just got messier than I thought," Vaughn muttered. Jenna opened the door slowly, stepping into the rain. "I'm a nurse. Worked a double tonight. Got a text from Mia, panicked, alone, drunk teens everywhere. I didn't ask questions. I drove." Vaughn motioned toward Mia. "You okay?" Mia hesitated before stepping out too. She was shaking, but she met Vaughn's eyes. "I just wanted to go home." He was yelling, and I got scared. "You're not in trouble," Vaughn said quickly. "You did the right thing texting her. And Jenna, you made the right call coming for her. But this," he motioned to the cruiser, "this is going to have consequences." Jenna sighed. "I know." Vaughn's radio crackled. He stepped aside to answer it, nodding occasionally, giving short responses. When he returned, his expression had hardened. "Backup's on the way. We'll get a blood test done. His bake is way past the legal limit, no doubt." Jenna ran a hand through her wet hair. "He could have hurt someone." "Yeah," Vaughn said, jaw tight. "Or worse." Another cruiser arrived, pulling in behind the others. An older female officer stepped out, Sergeant Wilkins, stern, no nonsense. She took one look at Kenton in the back seat and frowned. "Been hearing rumors about his drinking for a while," she muttered to Vaughn after being briefed. "But no one ever caught him in the act until now." Mia sat on the curb, arms wrapped around her knees. Jenna joined her, draping a spare hoodie over her shoulders from the trunk. Despite the chaos, the rain and the flashing lights behind them, there was a strange quiet between them. "I didn't know he was still drinking," Mia whispered. Jenna nodded. "He hides it well. People like him, they don't fall apart all at once. They do it in pieces." Mia wiped her face. "I just wanted to be a normal teenager. Go to a party, laugh with friends. I didn't expect this. Life doesn't always give warnings," Jenna replied. "You handled yourself better than most adults would have." Mia looked up. "He's going to lose his job, isn't he?" Jenna didn't answer right away. Maybe more. That's not for us to decide. But whatever happens next, it's not your fault. You didn't put that bottle in his hand." A silence followed. "Then will he go to jail?" "Possibly." Mia didn't respond, just stared at the street, at the lights reflecting in the puddles. Inside the second cruiser, Kenton stared straight ahead, unmoving. A pair of cuffs lay on the seat beside him, untouched. For now, his badge glinted on his chest, the one symbol of authority he hadn't yet been stripped of. But even that seemed dim now. Vaughn returned with a clipboard, starting to take Jenna's statement. She gave it straight, no exaggeration, no emotion, just the facts. The text from Mia, the drive, the moment Kenton pulled them over, the way his words slurred and his eyes couldn't focus, the gun at his hip, the shouting. As she signed at the bottom, Vaughn looked up. "I'm sorry this happened. I know how respected he used to be." Jenna shook her head. "Respect doesn't excuse recklessness." Wilkins returned after speaking with the dispatcher. "We're holding him overnight. Internal Affairs is already notified." Jenna thanked them. Mia stood slowly, her legs unsteady. She reached into her pocket and pulled out her cracked phone. "I should have called someone else," she whispered. Jenna shook her head. "You called me. That's what matters." They sat in the car for a few minutes, letting the weight of the night settle in. The rain had slowed to a mist, and the streets were nearly empty again. The flashing lights from the other cruisers made shadows dance across the dashboard. Mia looked out the window, biting her lip. "Do you think he'll hate me now?" "No," Jenna said softly. "But if he does, that says more about him than it does about you." For a long moment, they sat there in silence. Then Mia spoke again. "He used to be my hero." Jenna stared ahead. "Sometimes the people we look up to fall the hardest." Outside, Sergeant Wilkins was speaking quietly with Vaughn near the cruisers. There was movement in the back seat. Kenton had finally stirred. He looked straight at the rearview mirror, then away. Shame twisted his face. The proud man who once handed out medals at school assemblies now sat like a shadow of himself, hands trembling, lips pressed in a thin line. He knew this was only the beginning, and so did everyone else. 3 days later, Kenton sat in a small square room inside the precinct headquarters. No gun, no badge, just a plain gray polo shirt. His police ID badge now clipped to a file folder in front of him. Across the table sat a man from Internal Affairs, flanked by 2 others with notepads. A digital recorder blinked red between them. They'd already watched the dashcam footage twice. They'd reviewed the field sobriety test results. His blood alcohol level had come back at .14, well above the legal limit. And now they wanted him to talk. "Officer Kenton," the IA investigator began. His tone clipped but not unkind. "We're giving you the opportunity to explain what happened the night of the incident. You are not obligated to speak, but anything you say may be used in further proceedings." Kenton rubbed the back of his neck. "There's not much to explain. I was drinking. I got in my cruiser. I shouldn't have. I saw the speeding car and flipped on the lights. I had no idea it was Jenna." Or he paused, voice cracking. "My daughter in the passenger seat." There was a long silence. Then one of the officers asked, "Why were you drinking that night?" He hesitated. "Stress, loneliness. And I was just angry. Nothing in my life feels like it used to. My ex won't speak to me. My daughter barely looks at me. Work's all I have." One of the IA members wrote something down. "And what were you planning to do when you got out of that car?" Kenton's face dropped. "Honestly, I don't know. I just saw someone speeding and acted on instinct. But then I recognized the driver, then the passenger, and I panicked." "Did you threaten them?" Kenton leaned forward, tone urgent. "No. I raised my voice, yes, but I never meant to hurt anyone." The investigator nodded slowly. "We'll finish our report soon, but you understand this won't be swept under the rug. The department will make its decision within the week." Kenton gave a weak nod. "I understand." Meanwhile, Jenna and Mia sat in a coffee shop not far from Jenna's apartment. It was early evening. The place smelled like roasted beans and cinnamon, but neither of them seemed to notice. Jenna sipped her drink slowly, her eyes on Mia. You've been quiet all day. Mia poked at her muffin. I've been thinking about Dad. I know what he did was dangerous. I know it was wrong, but I keep wondering, was it because of me? Jenna gently placed her cup down. No, he made his own choices. You're not responsible for his drinking. You didn't force him to put on that uniform and get behind the wheel. Mia nodded, but her eyes stayed on the table. You didn't cause this, Jenna repeated firmly. If anything, you might have stopped something worse from happening. There was a pause. He used to be so strict about rules, Mia whispered. He made me promise never to get in a car with a drunk driver. Jenna smiled bitterly. Life's strange like that. People say one thing, then do another. Suddenly, Jenna's phone buzzed. A message from Sergeant Wilkins. Thought you'd want to know. Kenton's been suspended indefinitely. He turned in his badge this morning. Jenna stared at the screen for a moment, then showed Mia. Mia read it silently. So that's it. For now, it might go further. They could press charges. Mia folded her arms. I don't know if I should be relieved or sad. You're allowed to feel both. That weekend, Kenton stood outside Jenna's apartment building. His hands were buried in his coat pockets. He looked up at the fifth-floor windows but couldn't tell which one was hers. He didn't bring flowers. No grand gesture. Just a tired face and a manila envelope under his arm. He knocked twice. When Jenna opened the door, she didn't look surprised. You shouldn't be here. I know. He held up the envelope. I brought this for Mia. She eyed him cautiously. What is it? A letter. I didn't know how to say everything out loud, so I wrote it. Jenna accepted it. She's not ready to see you. Not yet, I figured. They stood there in silence, the hallway echoing with distant sounds of a neighbor's TV. I resigned, Kenton said quietly. Didn't wait for the final decision. Couldn't wear that uniform knowing what I did. Jenna nodded. That was the right thing. I miss her, Kenton added. You miss the version of her that trusted you, Jenna corrected. That'll take time. If it ever comes back. He looked down at his feet. I'm going to rehab. Voluntarily. A 60-day inpatient program. I need to fix myself before I try to fix anything else. For her sake, I hope you mean that. He nodded again, slower this time. Tell her. I never meant to scare her or put her in danger. Jenna's voice softened just slightly. I'll tell her. No promises. Kenton turned, walked to the elevator, and disappeared down the hall. Later that night, Mia sat on her bed holding the envelope. Jenna stood in the doorway. You don't have to read it now, or ever. It's your choice. Mia nodded. I want to. Inside was a 3-page letter. Kenton's handwriting was messy but legible. The words didn't ask for forgiveness. They didn't make excuses. They simply told the truth, how he lost control, how regret haunted him, and how seeing her in that car window made everything crash at once. Mia read in silence, eyes moving slowly. At the end it said, if I never earn your trust again, I'll still be proud that you walked away from danger. You did what I couldn't do for a long time. Recognize when someone's not safe, even when you love them. A tear slipped down Mia's cheek. She folded the letter and tucked it into her drawer. For now, that was where it would stay. Weeks passed. Kenton kept to his word. He checked into rehab, stayed sober, went to every group session. Jenna and Mia kept their distance, but they watched from afar. Once Mia even answered one of his messages. A single sentence. I got your letter. Thank you. It wasn't a reunion. It wasn't a fix, but it was something. In time, Jenna saw small changes in Mia. Less silence, more light behind her eyes. She returned to school, joined a photography club. She smiled again, cautiously, but genuinely. One Friday evening, as Jenna drove her home from a school event, Mia looked out the window and said, if he really changes, I might want to talk to him again. One day, Jenna smiled softly. keeping her eyes on the road. We'll cross that bridge when you're ready. Outside, the city lights blurred past, steady and quiet, and for the first time in a long time, the night didn't feel heavy anymore. If you liked this story, make sure to like, share and subscribe. Also another to strengthen our community. Let us know in the comments where you are watching from and what time you are currently watching this video.